This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 with Eminence going to be JulzzZ going to be on this green empire on the right side of Temple Prime, and Eminence the blue empire on the left side of Temple Prime, and going to be going Dojo Power Plant. Both of these players actually going to be going Dojo Power Plant, and then most likely followed up with a couple of more dojos. But anyways, JulzzZ, a player we have definitely seen before because he is a total boss. And actually, look at that. Eminence, he's going to be going... Wait a second. Both of these players actually going to be going for 4 dojo cores. Eminence giving a 3-way split, while JulzzZ, on the other hand, gives a 2-way split. Anyways, JulzzZ being a total boss lately and playing basically all the players. He's like, hey, anyone who's basically good, I'm going to play him. And by that, I do mean he played like 4 different games that I cast recently. But JulzzZ, pretty awesome. Eminence, pretty awesome. Definitely, if you have seen some games by him, you know that. And also, you know, JulzzZ recently did a bunch of games with like Dust Ulan and Maniac and just playing awesome people that haven't been around in a while, which is always awesome to see. And actually, oh, the Tank Buster literally 1 shot away from killing that dojo core, and Eminence is just like, I'm going to run all the way across the island with my unit, and then just kind of set up camp inside of JulzzZ's base, basically. And JulzzZ doing his best to try and block that off. However, he doesn't quite have the build radius to do that. I guess he's going to try for all he can, but a single Tank Buster is now out for Eminence, and both of these players, or rather each one of these players, grabbing a or grabbing an oil derrick, and actually, I guess a dojo core did get sniped right there. So Mecha Bay now going to be dropping down for both of these players, actually already completed for JulzzZ and Eminence, trying to make something happen with these Tank Busters, but with that wall micro out with that wall micro. You gotta micro them walls to really run with the pros. You have to micro the walls properly. That's what Red Alert 3 is all about. It's all about wall micro. Gosh, walls were so great when they introduced them. They're like, yeah, walls from Red Alert 2, because Red Alert 2 was awesome. Anyways, probably want to talk about this actual cast. So Eminence doing a pretty good job of locking down a lot of these units out of JulzzZ, but JulzzZ doing a pretty good job. Just kidding, he's doing a horrible job now of microing those walls with that Tank Buster actually blocking that wall position by JulzzZ, able to snipe a Harvester. And on the other side of the map, it does look like JulzzZ attempting to do the same thing, but with dual Tangus here and an Imperial Warrior, I don't think he'll have quite the success that Eminence has had. Eminence even setting up a second dojo core. Maybe he's actually off microing other stuff, which means he's not able to focus on this dojo core. In all honesty, it would probably be better to just either try and run it away and then build it so he can sell it off, or have already built it and then have just sold it off. But not going to happen, which means this Tangu will have fun totally destroying it on the water so we can watch the great water effects, because, you know, everyone can tell that the water does look just so awesome in Red Alert 3. But Eminence going to be going for Mass Tangu, because this is Red Alert 3 in good micro by JulzzZ, able to keep his Tangus alive and microing them basically to not take damage from Eminence's Tangus. But if Eminence gets the drop on JulzzZ, that could be a bit of a downside for JulzzZ. A bit of a downside, because, you know, there's so many upsides to losing all of your Tangus, but JulzzZ staying on top of that micro, and he's just going to get a single run for scouting in with this Tangu before it totally gets owned. And actually, no, not going for scouting, actually going for a little bit of harassment. So right there, JulzzZ going to be able to try and do some damage. However, getting trapped inside of those walls, and then actually was able to chase the Harvester away. 3 little Imperial Warriors are going to be firing at that oil derrick from JulzzZ. Well, JulzzZ is going to be firing at Eminence's oil derrick, and Eminence going to just grab the oil derrick of JulzzZ, because he's like, hey, you destroy mine, I will just simply capture yours so that I get the income and you don't. And this crazy wall system out of JulzzZ is going to be what really saves him from that early game rush. But I just wanted to point out the ridiculous wall formation again. And Eminence, what are you doing? Not paying attention is exactly what you're doing right now. And does he want to transform all of his Tangus to try and do that damage and to get those kills? Or is he just going to say, skip it, I'll engage later when, you know, you don't have instant repairs? Well, not quite instant repairs, but basically infinite access to repairs, because it would be quite difficult for those Tangus to actually take down that war factory while they're getting shot up by the Tangus of JulzzZ. JulzzZ, is he going to be going hunting for this other oil derrick? And really, Eminence, why do you have that wall there? Get your $5 back and sell off that wall segment, or is it like $2 back? I don't even remember. I think it's 5. But Eminence going to be swinging around the middle of the map, while JulzzZ, on the other hand, swinging around the north side of the island, probably going to try and sweep in, do some harvester harassment, and especially if both of these players hit while the other one is at home. No, just kidding, because Eminence is getting some spider sense tingling sensations, and JulzzZ going to be dropping off 2 Tangus right there, and then Eminence is like, hey, no, ain't happening, I'm just going to crush all the Tangus, and actually they just transformed, which means they're going to have to run away onto the water, able to snipe 1 harvester, making the harvester killing count fairly equal for these players, as I do believe it currently sits at 1-1, and a very successful hunt for JulzzZ. However, not so much for Eminence unless he's able to get a couple of crushes in here, but by now the transform ability has definitely cooled down, and quite a fearsome amount of Tangus out of JulzzZ, or out of Eminence, and JulzzZ really has nothing to deal with this. He doesn't have any static defense, which means these Tangus could divide and conquer. One single one gets trapped outside of the walls, and the Tangus over here, Eminence micro your MCB, chase away the Tangus. They're going to be doing massive amounts of damage to that War Factory, and Eminence is just kind of falling apart right here, and with the point defense drones, he will definitely be able to do some serious damage to Eminence. JulzzZ definitely has an advantage right at this moment, unless he does not micro these Tangus. He micros all of them but that single one. And Eminence, you're really going to have to do some damage to make a comeback in this game. But sniping this Harvester, actually, I say make a comeback, but he's not very far behind at all. He's just a little bit behind in that basically lost the Harvester and then had to run his MCV around and almost lost his War Factory. He would have actually been behind if he had lost his War Factory, but as it stands, on pretty equal footing, 1 extra Harvester snipe for each player, so that does bring the total up to 2, but 1 extra Tangu crush. And then actually these Tangus for JulzzZ do not have any of those point defense drones, and a pretty good split of transforming Tangus, so that you have some in the air, some on the ground, and enough to win battles in both spaces, both on the ground space and in the aerospace. Just wanted to say aerospace because it's a word that just doesn't get used quite enough. But JulzzZ, I would say, is now at a slight disadvantage in terms of Tangu numbers. So once again, another Empire versus Empire game where we see lots of Tangu battle just because they're so good. And you don't need anything else. And when you see high-level micro, it is pretty awesome just to watch. But Eminence definitely at an advantage right now in this moment. And even sending out a Tangu, I'm curious as to how he even knew that those Tangus were out there, or if he was just like, I'm gonna send out a Tangu up there. We'll do the check-in, we'll do the scouting, we'll do the check-in, and we're going to lose that oil derrick down on the south side of the island. But again, with the transforms out of JulzzZ, he's able to just drop those 2 Tangus in there, do the damage he needs, and Eminence staying on top of the transforms, which means if JulzzZ doesn't do anything, Eminence will definitely have an advantage very shortly in terms of Tangu numbers. And actually, I'm really curious as to why that Tangu for Eminence is not actually doing anything to the Tangu of JulzzZ. Instead, they're just getting blown up, and they're actually just kind of dying on top of that refinery and doing extra splash damage to that. Eminence really needs to do something about those Tangus, get them out of there, sell off some wall segments or something. But this oil derrick will go down, meaning no more extra money for either of these players. And despite them both being Empire, I just realized that neither one of them has expanded. There's your standard 5 expansions, or 5 ore nodes per player on this map, and neither one of them has taken a single one, just because when you get up into these mirror matchups like this, if you take the money to expand and your opponent puts that money into their army, and then you don't have enough units to counter, you can be in some really dangerous situations. And even just sending out preemptive Tangus to both sides of the map, and actually this is perfect spotting by frickin' Eminence over here, like a boss, spotting with his Tangu. No, just kidding, he's actually going to pass right by the Tangus, and they will get spotted, so Eminence able to spot the Tangus every single time. Well, actually the past 2 attack runs that JulzzZ has tried to do has been swinging his Tangus out around in these really, fairly obscure locations, trying to fake out Eminence, but he just hasn't been able to do it, and he's been losing battle after battle because of it. So good on the scouting for Eminence. He's able to stay on top of these battles and stay on top of the Tangu numbers, which is really what's important. But JulzzZ going to be able to escape on out of there. Eminence desperately trying to transform, but he's just not able to. And now with these tier 2 strikers, he should have a fair advantage in these battles, because he will have both, he can just transform all of his units at once, and then he'll be able to do damage to both the ground and the air with his units, while his opponent will not be able to unless JulzzZ has any tier 2. He does not. He could possibly be purchasing that upgrade. We will see in just a moment. Probably have turned health bars on. Super annoying with those wall segments. But no, he is not going to be starting that tier 2 just quite yet. But strikers, if you manage them properly, they can be quite effective. And going to be going for a Dojo Core. My guess is that, goodness, what even happened to that? I don't even know what happened just now. So Eminence's income is actually 0 right now, which is a terrible spot to be in. I have no idea how he is actually going to stay in this game after the next couple of battles, because he'll have a JulzzZ will have income and Eminence simply will not. While Eminence may be able to do some economic damage right here, if he's not able to do enough to make up for the fact that he's got nothing harvesting right now, and still no harvesters going. Eminence, what are you doing? And just that single chopper VX is going to get chased away by a couple of Tangus, but actually not really, which means more free kills for Eminence. He was able to finally get that. Well, JulzzZ was finally able to snipe down that striker. And again, 2 of those Tangus just transform. Actually, 3 of them do transform, and JulzzZ is going to try and get an early lead, but oh no, Eminence is just like, hey, it's a base race. It's on right now like Donkey Kong, and if he micros properly against the MCV, he'll be able to snipe it down, but he desperately wants to get rid of that Mecha Bay before the Tangus on the other side of the map do the same, but oh no, the micro out of my Eminence, what are you doing? Get your Tangus out of there. Stay away from that MCV, and he's actually going to be heading home. He's done the damage that he wanted to do. He didn't want to take out the MCV. He wants to try and save his own Mecha Bay. But again, without this income, he's not going to be nearly as far ahead as he should be in this situation. He's just not had any income for the past minute, 30 seconds, however long it has been. I'm not sure exactly how long it has been, but they have the same, well, no, he has basically an income of 0 for all that time, which means the damage he did in that 2,500 credit drop, which actually, no, just going for the Dox Core, so saving 1,500 credits by simply going for that Dox Core, which means, actually, he did send that Dojo Core across the map. I don't think I actually ever mentioned that. I think I said, I think the only thing, what he's going to do with this Dojo Core, and then I got distracted by something, probably something that didn't even matter, but actually sending the Dox Core way the heck out onto the water, which means he gets to save a little bit of money simply by losing that epic Mecha Tangu that did not save any money, but saving money because you can still produce quite a few of the units. You just can't produce the Striker VXs from the, well, I mean, you get Naginatana Cruisers, but not quite the same thing. Transforming robots versus, you know, just regular attack ships of some kind. I don't know, they're like, well, they fire torpedoes, but, you know, they're kind of warships. Well, they're definitely warships. But actually, even the Ore Collector just get totally distracted there. But still, not deciding to actually rebuild his ore refineries just because he doesn't really like money. Eminence is like, no, I'm going to win this game without money, which actually, I don't know if he wins this game. So, if you're concerned about spoilers, I haven't seen the end of this game either, which is true with probably 99.999% of every game that I've cast. Very few of them I actually know what is going to happen before it happens, just because I like to experience it the first time along with you guys, just, you know, in different time mediums. And oh, the Emperor's Rage is going to allow JulzzZ to definitely have an advantage and chase away Eminence, but again, this is what I'm talking about. Eminence actually has no income, or at least had no income for quite a while. He's just now trying to get that back online, and as you can see, the Mecha Bay, there are no flashing lights, and also, there's nothing being produced, which means these are the units he has to go off of until this refinery gets finished, which, you know, Empire refineries are not cheap, and there it goes, which means the still no Mecha Bay actually, well, yeah, I forgot that he's actually just going for the Imperial Docks instead of that Mecha Bay, because, you know, who needs a Mecha Bay when you can produce your units from the Imperial Docks? And also, it's also great because once you get the Tier 2 upgrade, you can just produce some Tsunami tanks, which, you know, they can kind of counter the, they can act as a counter in combination with the Tangus for fighting versus the Striker VXs. Guys, they do more, well, you know, better for killing the buildings and stuffs like that. Terribly constructed sentences, but going to be claiming that temple in the middle. and actually going to just be actually going to be heading away. So again, another thing you have to think about with the Mecha Bay is that he did buy that Tier 2 upgrades, which means 2,500 credits plus the 750 for that upgrade means that he's pushing 3,250. I almost said 3,250,000, but 3,250 credits on that Mecha Bay that he would have had to re-spend to get back on his feet. So actually, heading into the extremely boring part of the game where both of these players are like, we don't really have a lot of money, we don't have a giant army, we can't really do all that much engaging, but trying to secure a third ore node is exactly what JulzzZ is going to be doing. And JulzzZ is going to be trying to poke in there and do some damage, but not actually able to do anything just yet. Point defense drones have been purchased once again, or rather have been deployed, but JulzzZ is now over here with his Tangu army, and Eminence is like, hey, are you up here? No? No, you're not up here? Are you sure? Are you sure you're not up here? Nope. Okay, I guess I'll go head down south, maybe. So JulzzZ able to secure this southern base over there, and actually going to be going for his Mecha Bay, which means he will most likely sell off that Imperial Docks just to get rid of it, get that cash back. And these strikers is actually, it'd be kind of funny. Nope, that ore collector did not get grabbed in that control group. Unfortunately, the devs for Red Alert 3 were just a little bit too smart for that. Which actually, no, I think that's a feature from previous games. I'm pretty sure that was the when you select attacking units, like all of your regular war units, you don't select harvesters as well, and I know that that was effective in, or that was present in Tiberium Wars and Kane's Wrath, so I'm not exactly sure when that was, but unfortunately that means that for us, this harvester is not going to be going to battle, because, you know, the harvesters just, they don't get the fun that all of the other units do, and actually Eminence going to be throwing away a couple of Tangus there, and instead going to be leaving a couple of the Striker VXs. If the Striker VXs can transform, no, they do not. They're not off the cooldown just yet, and Eminence going to be heading back in with his Tangus. Are they over here right there? They're going to be heading in to provide support for that Striker VX. Well, I guess now technically it is a Chopper VX, and the Emperor's Rage with the transform, and the transform by Eminence. So is he going to just go for the gun? Go for the throat. I don't know why I said go for the gun, but that's not exactly how the phrase goes. But Eminence, instead, he's going to try and run back home to defend against these Tangus, and this Striker VX needs to transform just at the exact same time as the Tangus transform. Once they transform, he needs to transform that Striker so that he's constantly able to do damage. But a Tsunami tank is out, which will be able to do quite a bit of damage versus these Tangus, and the Tangus not all attacking, which means Eminence has a distinct advantage, especially with that Chopper Striker VX. They're able to do the damage from the ground, able to take out quite a few of those Tangus, while the Tangus for Eminence did transform. However, 2 epic Tangus are a pretty strong thing, and as we head out of that battle where it would have been helpful to have those health bars, I actually remember to turn them on, but JulzzZ going to be heading back home while Eminence is trying to remass his army, going for some of that Tier 2 instead of just sticking with that Tier 1, but now JulzzZ has had a economic advantage for quite a while, and I do not think that that is going to be on the horizon for at least now for Eminence. Eminence just going to try and make this, well, it's kind of single base Tier 2 play that he's just going to try to make work, probably going in for a final push, or at least that's what I'm expecting. Finally did purchase that Tier 2 upgrade. Actually, no, it's over here at the Imperial Docks, but he is going to be going for that MCV, transforming all of his units, not leaving the Striker VX in the sky to get sniped by the Tangus, and the Tsunami tank may be able to take down a couple of those Tangus. Just kidding, the Tsunami tanks for Eminence are now here, and a single Tangu transforming inside of that ore collector's little house there. He's just inside of the little fence trying to do some damage to that ore collector, but the ore collector will get sniped by that Tsunami tank, and now the Tsunami tanks need to turn around and get out of there so that they do not get divided from their buddies. You got to keep with your buddies and use the buddy system. You know, it's the same in Red Alert 3 as it is at night, and also where I live, you got to use the buddy system, or else you will probably get mugged and shot at the local gas station, because that is just what happens in this town. And actually probably going to finally see that base race, which I've expected for like the last 18 engagements. And the perfect transform by both of these players. Eminence definitely going to be able to win this battle, but will he win the game? Will he win the war? Not transforming the MCV. JulzzZ is just going to be taking the damage just now using his own Emperor's Rage, but the numbers for JulzzZ are significantly slower than... significantly lower, not significantly slower than the numbers for for Eminence on the other side of the map, but Eminence did lose quite a bit of stuff. No, it's actually just a little bit spread out. He did lose quite a bit of stuff, but he does have the rest of his army spread out a little bit. Some of it even back home. He's still trying to produce a couple of units to just survive. Once again, the Mecha Bay does get sniped, and will the MCV get sniped, or will the Tsunami tank be able to escape? They will be able to escape on out of there. Actually, the MCV kind of working against JulzzZ. He actually blocked his own tanks right there. I don't know if he really wanted to give chase there, but he actually blocked himself from being able to do that. Both of the Mecha Bays did get sniped, and the economy's getting sniped as well. Eminence probably at this point just needs to commit and try and win the game through a base race and through superior micro, but does he have that superior micro that he will need to win this game? He does have point defense drones, which if he brings this one Tsunami tank to the back, oh, it is actually an epic Tsunami tank, giving it a little bit of a health boost right there, so he will be able to repair himself. Additional, or in addition, he does have that, he did activate those nano deflectors, allowing him to escape a little bit faster. And now, even with his upgraded Tsunami tanks, it is not going to be enough to try and chase away the might that is JulzzZ, and JulzzZ actually going to be losing one Tsunami tank, so Maniac just needs to turn around and engage. He would have won that battle. Instead, he's going to be pulling back, in this game will drag on a bit longer, and I only say drag because, well, it's gotten past the exciting point, and we're just waiting for the next big build-up so we can watch a giant battle. But I'd say JulzzZ has a definite advantage. He at least has an economic advantage, because JulzzZ, Eminence once again is at that 0 income, and look at those wall placement. You'd think that they're afraid of terror drones, but it is not so, not in this map, or at least not in this matchup. Really no terror drones to be had anywhere, but instead Tangus to be had everywhere. Also Tangus and a couple of Tsunami tanks, because hey, variety and stuff. Of course, this is usually how Empire Mirror matchups end up going, is a lot of this sort of Tsunami, well, no. I almost said a lot of Tsunami tank play. What I meant was a lot of Tangu play that we have seen both in this game and in previous games, but still able to hold on to that Imperial Dock score, which really was a good move by JulzzZ. Just number one, it was a great move in building the Imperial Dock score. Number two, great move in not selling it off. It's something that I thought he would do. And that Emperor's Rage, I'm actually curious what the factor is on that, because when you activate the nano deflectors, you get the speed boost, but then when you activate Emperor's Rage, you lose speed. So what is actually the factors there, and do they end up equaling out? Tangu going to be able to take down the Tangu of Eminence, and I really do have no idea who is actually going to win this fight, but I do know that Eminence is at a distinct economic disadvantage, although he's doing a pretty good job of trying to even that up by sniping a Harvester over here, at least forcing it out of its cage, and instead going to be trying to snipe Harvesters of his opponents, but actually the point defense drones being used on those mighty Harvesters, mighty but humble Harvesters, trying to make something happen with these Tsunami tanks, but with 4 now, that is not a Tsunami tank. You Ore Collector, you get back to work. You're not a Tsunami tank. Trying to trick me, well, now, okay, now it's going to be 5 Tsunami tanks. For JulzzZ, he will definitely be able to hold off just the simple 2 Tsunami tanks of Eminence. Eminence, of course, having no money left. Basically, what it'll boil down to is Eminence did not have any income for basically this latter half of this game, and JulzzZ did have income. In fact, he had income that was far superior in many cases to the income of his opponent, Eminence, and that is probably how it is going to boil down for the rest of the game. Simply, you got money, you're able to make them units. More money, mo units, as they do say in the video games. It's quite important in the video games. I guess it's kind of important in real life as well, although we don't call people units, really. I guess you can have, like, battalions and have units of infantry and vehicles and all that sorts of stuff. So, mo money, mo units, true even in the real world. And oh, not a good move, sending that Tsunami tank to its death, or quite nearly. Okay, I guess it's its death now. But again, dividing and conquering. So even though that JulzzZ is going to be at a slight economic advantage compared to Eminence, considering all of these harvester snipings that have been happening from Eminence, I kept wanting to say Maniac, from all of the harvester sniping that has been happening from Eminence, he was able to kind of even up the economic game just a little bit, not entirely, just because this harvester has still been going strong. And actually, well, there you go. Eminence actually leaving the game, or at least having been defeated. That is going to be doing it for this game. Let's take a quick look at that resource graph. Actually staying pretty even. Yep, and then as you can see, Eminence, or one more game, just kind of petered off right there, plateaued for all of that time. So it does look like close to probably about a minute or so that he just completely plateaued, and then plateaued again for another 30 or 45 seconds over there. What are the actual figures like? Yeah, a difference of nearly 20,000 credits in a 25-minute game. So actually that game, it didn't really feel like 25 minutes, although it may for you. This is going to be Sybert signing out.